My wedding ring hit the marble floor before the priest finished the blessing. I choose Daniel. Those 4 words from my fiancée, Ava, shattered the church more completely than any scream could have. I stood beneath white roses while 300 guests watched Ava walk toward the man she had once promised to forget. Daniel smiled like he had already won. My father looked ready to explode. Ava's mother covered her face. Then Father Michael stepped away from the altar. Wait. The entire church froze. Father Michael opened a small black envelope that had been locked inside the church safe for 27 years. This wedding cannot end here, Father Michael whispered. Not until Ethan learns who his father really was, and why Ava's family has spent years hiding the truth. I stared at the envelope. My name was written across it. Ava suddenly stopped crying. Daniel's smile disappeared. And when Father Michael read the first line, I realized my broken engagement was only the beginning of a secret powerful enough to destroy 2 families that night. The silence after Father Michael's words felt heavier than the church ceiling. I looked at Ava. What does that envelope have to do with us? Ava's lips parted, but no answer came. Daniel stepped forward. This is ridiculous. Ava chose me. The ceremony is over. Father Michael lifted the envelope. Daniel, this envelope was entrusted to me under one condition. It could be opened only when Ethan's wedding was interrupted by betrayal. My stomach tightened. Who gave it to you? Your mother. I forgot how to breathe. My mother had died when I was 12. Ava whispered, Ethan, please. I turned toward Ava. You knew about this? Ava looked down. That answer hurt more than the broken engagement. You knew? I knew there was a letter, Ava replied. I never knew what was inside. Daniel grabbed Ava's wrist. We are leaving. I caught Daniel's arm. Not until I hear the truth. Daniel pulled free. You lost the right to demand anything when Ava stopped loving you. Ava flinched. I looked at Ava. Is that true? Ava's eyes filled with tears. I loved you. Past tense. I don't know what I feel anymore. Father Michael placed the envelope in my hand. I opened it. Inside was one folded page and a photograph. The photograph showed my mother standing beside a younger man I had never seen. The man wore a black suit and held a newborn baby. On the back, one sentence was written. Your father was not the man who raised you. I stared at the photograph. My father was Thomas Reed. Father Michael nodded. Ava covered her mouth. Daniel looked confused. Who cares? I turned toward Daniel. Thomas Reed founded Reed Meridian. Daniel's face changed. Reed Meridian was the company my family had spent 20 years competing against. Thomas Reed had died before I became CEO of Carter Holdings. His daughter, Evelyn Reed, now controlled the empire. Ava whispered, My mother told me never to marry into your family. I looked at Ava. Why? Ava shook her head. Because Ava claimed your family destroyed ours. I looked around the altar. My father sat in the front row. Ava stood beside Daniel. And my best friend, Marcus, was holding my wedding ring. Marcus raised both hands. I found it on the floor. I stared at Marcus. Why are you crying? Marcus swallowed. Because I know what happened 27 years ago. The church doors suddenly opened. Evelyn Reed walked inside wearing a black dress and carrying a leather folder. Evelyn looked directly at me. Ethan Carter, Evelyn called. Your wedding was never supposed to happen. I stepped away from the altar. Then why did you let it? Evelyn's eyes moved to Ava. Because Ava was supposed to discover the truth after the wedding. Ava suddenly stopped crying. I looked at Ava. Your mother? Ava nodded slowly. Evelyn placed the folder on a pew. My daughter was never sent to leave you, Evelyn said. Ava was sent to marry you. The room erupted in whispers. I felt something cold move through my chest. Why? Evelyn looked at my father. To take back what Thomas Reed lost. My father finally stood. Evelyn, this ends now. Evelyn smiled without warmth. No, Richard. It ended 27 years ago. Tonight, the truth begins. I turned toward my father. Dad, what did you do? Richard's face went pale. Ava stepped toward me. Ethan, please listen before you hate me. I wanted to walk away. Instead, I asked the only question that mattered. Did Ava know she was betraying me? Ava closed her eyes. When Ava opened them again, the answer was already there. Yes. I felt the church floor tilt beneath me. Ava reached for my hand. I was 18 when my mother first told me. She showed me documents, old bank records, letters. I believed your father had ruined mine. You believed that because Evelyn wanted you to. Yes. And you still came into my life. I came to investigate. Then I fell in love with you. Daniel laughed bitterly. That part was never real. Ava turned toward Daniel. Do not speak for me. Daniel's jaw tightened. You promised me you would finish this. I looked at Daniel. Finish what? Daniel stared at Ava. Ava whispered. Daniel was part of the plan. My chest tightened again. So the man you chose today was part of a revenge plan? Ava wiped her tears. I thought leaving you would protect you. By humiliating me? I panicked. You chose the person who helped deceive me. I know. Father Michael stepped between us. Ethan, there is more. I looked at the letter. The final line had been folded under the photograph. I opened it. Your real father left you an inheritance, but the inheritance was never money. My eyes moved to Father Michael. What did Thomas leave me? Father Michael looked toward Evelyn. Control. Evelyn nodded. Control of Reed Meridian. My father slammed his palm against the pew. That company belongs to me. Evelyn smiled. Not anymore. For the first time that night, Ava looked frightened for someone other than herself. I understood then that the broken wedding was not the disaster. It was the door. I left the church before anyone could stop me. Marcus followed me into the parking lot. Ethan, wait. I turned. How long have you known? Marcus stopped. That is not an answer. 3 weeks. My anger rose. 3 weeks. I found your mother's old files in your father's private archive. You opened them? I was trying to protect you. Everyone keeps using that excuse. Marcus looked exhausted. Because everyone knew Richard was hiding something. I laughed once. Everyone except me. Ava came through the church doors. Ethan. I turned away. Ava moved closer. Please let me explain. Explain why you were going to marry me for revenge. That was never the reason I stayed. Then why did you stay? Ava's eyes filled. Because you made me forget the plan. I stared at Ava. Ava continued. The first time we met, I knew your name. I knew your family. I knew my mother wanted me close to you. I expected arrogance, cruelty, anything that would make hating you easy. What happened? You were kind. I looked down. Ava touched my sleeve. You remembered my coffee order. You stayed awake when my father was in the hospital. You flew across the country because I told you I was scared. Yet you still chose Daniel. I thought Daniel had proof that your father was going to destroy my family. Did Daniel have proof? Ava hesitated. No. I stepped back. What did Daniel have? Edited documents. Private messages. Financial records. Marcus cursed under his breath. I looked at Marcus. Can you verify them? Already did. Ava's face changed. Marcus, what did you find? Marcus opened his phone. Every document Daniel showed Ava was altered. Ava covered her mouth. I stared at the screen. Who paid Daniel? Marcus looked at me. Richard Carter. My father. The man who raised me. The man who had just watched my wedding collapse without telling me why. Ava shook her head. No. Marcus showed another file. Richard transferred money to Daniel 6 times. Ava stepped backward. I never knew. I looked at Ava. Did you know Daniel was still seeing you before today? Ava froze. That silence answered everything. Marcus quietly asked, Ethan, do you want to see the last file? I nodded. I walked toward my car. Ava followed. Where are you going? To find Thomas Reed's lawyer. Why? Because my father just admitted I am not his son. Ava's voice broke. And what am I supposed to do? I looked back. For once, choose something without someone telling you what to do. Ava nodded slowly. I drove to downtown. The Reed Meridian Tower stood above the city like a black blade. A security guard blocked the entrance. Mr. Carter, Evelyn Reed is expecting you. I stopped. How? The guard handed me a keycard. Evelyn expected you tonight. I entered the elevator alone. When the doors opened, Evelyn waited beside a wall of windows. Sit, Ethan. I remained standing. Tell me everything. Evelyn looked at the city. Thomas Reed was your biological father. I know. Thomas planned to expose Richard for stealing Reed Meridian through forged debt contracts. Why did Thomas die? Evelyn's expression hardened. Because Richard made sure Thomas never reached the courtroom. My hands curled into fists. You have proof. I have enough to destroy your father. Then why wait 27 years? Because Thomas left instructions. Evelyn opened the leather folder. Thomas wanted you to decide what justice looked like when you became old enough. I stared at the documents. Why Ava? Evelyn sighed. Because Ava was supposed to bring you here. She failed. No. Evelyn looked directly at me. Ava succeeded. What do you mean? Thomas's plan was never about taking revenge on Richard. Evelyn placed one final document on the table. It was about giving his son the choice to forgive, expose, or walk away. I read the document. My name was printed beneath a line granting me controlling ownership of Reed Meridian. My heart pounded. Evelyn whispered, "The company is yours again." I looked toward the glass windows. For 27 years, my father had built my entire life on a lie. Now the truth had handed me an empire. But all I could think about was Ava standing alone outside the church. My phone vibrated. Ava's name appeared. I almost ignored it. Then I answered, "Ethan, I'm listening." I went home. Why? Because I needed to pack. "Where are you going?" "I don't know." I closed my eyes. Ava whispered, "I should have told you everything before today." "Yes. I know saying sorry cannot fix this." "No. I still love you." My throat tightened. "Ava, love does not erase betrayal." "I know." "Then why call?" "Because I wanted you to hear one honest thing from me." "What?" "I chose Daniel because I was afraid. I loved you and still let fear make my choices." Silence filled the line. "I am not asking you to forgive me tonight," Ava continued. "I only wanted to stop lying." I looked at the city lights. "Thank you for finally telling the truth. Is there any chance we can talk again?" I hesitated. "Maybe." Ava breathed softly. "Maybe is more than I deserve." The call ended. "You still love her?" I nodded. "Very." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Good. Power without a heart makes people dangerous." I looked at the contract again. Then I need to learn how to use both tonight. I returned to Carter Holdings at sunrise. My father was waiting in my office. Richard closed the door. "Ethan, listen before you make a decision." I placed the Reed documents on the desk. "You already made enough decisions for me." Richard stared at the papers. "Evelyn found you." "Yes." "Then you know about Thomas." "I know you lied to me." Richard lowered himself into a chair. "Thomas was going to destroy everything. You stole his company. I saved our family. You killed his future." Richard looked away. "I never wanted you involved. You involved me the day you made me your son." Richard's eyes became wet. "I loved you. Then why did you build my life on a lie?" Richard had no answer. I opened another file. "Daniel is finished." Richard looked up. Daniel was supposed to keep Ava away from Reed. Daniel was supposed to break my engagement. That was never the plan. I smiled coldly. "Your plan has a problem." "What?" "I own Reed Meridian now." Richard stood. "You cannot take Carter Holdings from me." "I do not want Carter Holdings." Richard looked confused. "I want the truth." I pushed a document forward. Every forged contract. Every hidden payment. Every account. Richard stared at the pages. "You would destroy your own family? You destroyed it first." Richard walked out. Marcus entered. "Ethan, Ava is downstairs." My heart reacted before my mind could stop it. "Send Ava up." Ava entered carrying a small box. "I brought your ring." I looked at the box. "You can keep it." Ava shook her head. "It belongs to you." Ava placed the box on my desk. "I also brought this." Ava handed me a flash drive. "What is it?" "Daniel's original files." I looked at Ava. "Why?" "Because I found out what Daniel planned." I inserted the drive. A folder opened. Inside were photographs, contracts, and messages between Daniel and Richard. One message stopped me. Richard had promised Daniel the Carter Holdings presidency after my removal. I looked at Ava. Did Daniel know about Thomas? No. Then why help Richard? Money. I nodded. That sounds like Daniel. Ava sat across from me. "Ethan, I want to tell you something without asking for anything." "Go ahead." "I loved you before I understood who you were." I looked at Ava. "I know. I loved you when I thought you were Richard Carter's son." "I know. I loved you after I learned you were Thomas Reed's son." I looked down. "That is what makes this harder." Ava reached across the desk. "I am not asking for another chance." I looked at her hand. "What are you asking for?" "A chance to earn back your trust." I did not touch her hand. "That could take years." "I have years." The answer hit me harder than any grand promise. I finally placed my hand over Ava's. Ava's fingers trembled. "I am still angry." "I know. I still feel betrayed." "I know. And I still love you." Ava's eyes filled. "I love you too." We stayed there quietly. No promises. No ring. No wedding. Just two people sitting with the truth. Then Marcus rushed inside. "Ethan, we have a problem." I pulled my hand away. "What happened?" "Richard transferred the Carter family shares." "To whom?" Marcus looked at Ava. "To Daniel." Ava stood. "That is impossible." Marcus opened another file. "Daniel now controls 30% of Carter Holdings." My anger returned. "How?" Your father signed the transfer last night. I stared at the screen. Richard had expected me to chase revenge. Instead, Richard had handed Daniel enough power to start a war. I stood. Where is Daniel? Marcus answered. At Carter Holdings. I picked up my coat. Ava stepped beside me. I am coming. I looked at Ava. This is my fight. Ava shook her head. No. This started with my family too. I almost smiled. Then stay close. Ava nodded. We entered the elevator together. For the first time since the wedding, Ava reached for my hand. I let Ava hold it. The elevator doors opened. Daniel stood in the lobby, surrounded by reporters. Daniel smiled when he saw me. Congratulations, Ethan. I walked toward him. On what? Daniel lifted the signed agreement. On losing everything. I looked at the cameras. Then I smiled. You should read the document you just bought. Daniel's smile faded. What? I handed Marcus the original contract. Read the final page. Marcus held it up. Daniel's eyes moved across the words. His face drained. I stepped closer. 30% of Carter Holdings was never yours. Daniel stared at me. Then whose is it? I looked at Ava. Ask Richard. Ava's eyes widened. I finally understood the trap. Richard had transferred shares he did not legally own. You think papers can erase what I own? Facts can. You lost Ava. I looked at Ava. Ava made a mistake. That does not make Ava property. Daniel stared at me. You still want her after everything? I want the woman who tells me the truth, even when the truth hurts. I can destroy you. No. You already tried. Ethan, the auditors confirmed everything. Then let the truth finish the job. I did not look away again. The audit took 6 days. 6 days of lawyers, bank records, old contracts, and witnesses. Ava stayed close without asking for forgiveness. Every morning, Ava brought coffee to my office. Every evening, Ava left without expecting dinner. On the 7th morning, Ava placed 2 cups on my desk. I remembered your order. I looked at the coffee. You still remember. I remember everything. I took the cup. Thank you. Ava smiled. That tiny smile felt more dangerous than any argument. Marcus entered. The board meeting starts in 20 minutes. Who is attending? Everyone. Daniel. Yes. Richard. Marcus nodded. Ava looked at me. Do you want me there? I thought about it. Yes. Ava sat beside me. At the meeting, Daniel arrived first. Daniel dropped a folder onto the table. Ethan has no authority over Carter Holdings. I opened my folder. Daniel has 30% of shares that were never legally transferred. Daniel looked at the lawyers. You promised me those shares. Richard walked into the room. I promised nothing. Daniel turned. You signed the agreement. Richard looked furious. You were supposed to follow instructions. Daniel laughed. Your instructions were terrible. I leaned back. Keep going. Daniel stared at me. You think this is funny? No. I opened another file. I think it is sad. The file contained Daniel's bank records. Payments from Richard. Payments from Evelyn. Payments from 3 shell companies. Daniel's face changed. Richard stood. Those records are private. Not anymore. Ava looked at the board. My mother authorized the audit. Richard turned toward Ava. You betrayed your own family. Ava remained calm. No, Richard. I stopped protecting lies. Richard's face hardened. You were supposed to marry Ethan. Ava looked at me. I was supposed to marry a plan. Then Ava looked back at Richard. I chose a person. My heart moved. Daniel slammed his fist on the table. You all think Ethan is innocent? I looked at Daniel. What did I do? Daniel pulled out another file. Your father ordered the accident that killed Thomas Reed. The room went silent. Richard stopped moving. I looked at Richard. Is that true? Richard's face collapsed. No. Daniel opened the file. The driver was paid. Richard whispered, Daniel, stop. I stood. Let him finish. Daniel looked nervous now. The driver left a recorded confession. Marcus played the recording. A man described the night Thomas died. Richard had arranged the meeting. Richard had ordered the driver to force Thomas's car off the road. My hands became cold. I looked at Richard. Why? Richard's eyes filled with tears. Thomas was going to expose me. You killed him. I panicked. You killed my father. I was afraid. I laughed bitterly. You were afraid of losing a company, so you stole a father from his son. Richard covered his face. The board members sat frozen. Daniel suddenly stood. I have no part in this. I looked at Daniel. You helped hide it. I did not know about the murder. You knew enough to use the secret. Daniel backed toward the door. Security blocked the exit. Daniel looked at Ava. Tell them I was forced. Ava shook her head. No. Daniel looked at me. Ethan, please. I had imagined this moment for days. I could have destroyed Daniel publicly. Instead, I handed the evidence to the authorities. You will answer for what you did. Daniel stared at me. That is it. That is justice. Richard remained seated. I walked toward my father. Richard looked up. Ethan, can you ever forgive me? I stopped. I do not know. Richard nodded. I understand. I am not taking revenge on you. Richard's eyes filled. I am taking your power away. I placed the resignation documents on the table. Carter Holdings will be rebuilt under independent leadership. Richard signed. The room finally breathed. After the meeting, Ava and I walked onto the rooftop. The city stretched beneath us. Ava leaned against the railing. You did not destroy them. No. Why? Because I spent my whole life believing power meant making people hurt. Ava looked at me. What changed? I smiled. I learned power can mean refusing to become them. Ava reached for my hand. I am proud of you. I looked at Ava. I am still angry. I know. I still need time. I know. But I want you beside me while I take it. Ava's eyes filled. Are you asking me to stay? Yes. Ava stepped closer. I will stay. Ava kissed me softly. No cameras. No altar. No audience. Just us. When the kiss ended, Ava whispered, what happens now? I looked over the city. Now we build something that nobody planned for us. Ava rested her forehead against mine. I thought losing you would be the price of what I did. Maybe losing trust was. I will earn it. I believe you. Even after everything. Not because I forgot. Then why? Because you finally stopped choosing fear. Ava squeezed my hand. I want to keep choosing you. Then choose yourself too. Ava nodded. That is what I am learning. My phone rang. Marcus. Ethan, one more thing. What? The trust contains a personal letter from Thomas. I looked at Ava. Where? Your new office. Ava smiled. Go. You are coming. Obviously. Thomas Reed's letter was waiting in the office that had once belonged to Richard. I opened the envelope slowly. Ava stood beside me. You do not have to read it tonight. I waited 27 years. I unfolded the page. My son, if you are reading this, then the truth finally found you. I stopped. Ava touched my shoulder. I continued. I do not know what kind of man you became. I hope you became kinder than I was. I hope you learned that revenge can become another prison. My eyes burned. Thomas continued. Your mother wanted you far from this company. Evelyn wanted justice. Richard wanted control. None of them knew what you would want. The company is yours only if you choose it. I lowered the letter. Ava looked at me. What does it say? That I do not owe anyone a life. Ava smiled softly. Then choose yours. I looked around the office. The expensive furniture. The city view. The empire built from a dead man's dream. I will keep Reed Meridian. Ava nodded. But not like Thomas. How? I will turn it into something my father would have been proud to see. Ava's eyes softened. And Carter Holdings? I will not take it. Why? Because I do not want my future built from Richard's fear. Ava took my hand. That sounds like you. A week later, I announced the changes. Reed Meridian would fund scholarships for employees' children. Carter Holdings would operate independently under a new board. The old legal cases were sent to prosecutors. Daniel accepted a plea agreement that required restitution and cooperation. Richard stepped away from every company position. Evelyn remained chairwoman of the family trust. For the first time, nobody could use me as a piece on their board. I was finally a person. 3 months passed. Ava and I rebuilt slowly. There were difficult days. Sometimes I woke angry. Sometimes Ava cried because Ava remembered the church. We talked through every hard moment. One evening, Ava and I walked through Central Park. Ava stopped beside a bench. Ethan. I turned. Ava held out a small box. My heart jumped. No. Ava laughed. Open it. Inside was not a ring. It was a key. What is this? The key to my apartment. I smiled. You are giving me a key? I am asking you to stop treating my life like a place you need permission to enter. I looked at Ava. That may be the most romantic thing anyone has ever said to me. Ava laughed. I practiced. I pulled Ava close. I love you. I love you too. We kissed under the trees. No cameras. No family. No secret plan. Just us. A year later, Ava opened a design studio. I never invested. Ava never asked. You came. I promised. I am proud. Ava walked closer. I used to think your last name was the most important thing about you. And now Now I think your choices are. I kissed Ava's forehead. My father once taught me that winning meant owning the room. Ava smiled. You learned better. I learned from losing. Ava looked toward the guests. Are you happy? I looked at the woman beside me. Yes. Ava squeezed my hand. Then we did win. 6 months later, we married quietly at the same church. Only close friends attended. Father Michael performed the ceremony. Marcus stood beside me. Ava walked toward me without fear. When Ava reached the altar, I whispered, "Ready?" Ava smiled. Completely. This time, nobody interrupted us. Thomas Reed's letter remained in my desk drawer. I kept the final line close to my heart. Choose your own life. I finally understood what Thomas had given me. Not a company. Not revenge. Not a famous name. A choice. Ava and I walked out of the church together. The sunlight touched the ring on Ava's hand. For one quiet moment, I remembered the first wedding. The broken promises. Daniel's smile. Richard's lies. The envelope. The secret. Everything that had once felt like the end had become the reason I learned who I was. Ava looked at me. Where are we going? I smiled. Home. Ava slipped her hand into mine. Your home, or mine? Wherever we build it. Ava leaned against me as we walked. I no longer needed revenge. Daniel had faced the consequences of every choice. Richard had lost the power he had abused. Evelyn had finally received the truth she had waited decades to see. And Ava had learned that love could not survive inside a lie. But love could survive honesty. It could survive regret. It could survive a broken wedding. It could even survive the truth. I once believed losing my wedding meant losing my future. Now I understood the truth. The wedding had been the lie. The broken heart had been the doorway. Ava did not become my reward. Reed Meridian did not become my revenge. The truth did not make me powerful. Choosing what to do with the truth did. I looked at Ava as sunlight touched the ring. For the first time, nobody was writing our story for us. Not Richard. Not Evelyn. Not Daniel. Not even the past. I had lost a wedding. I had found my life. And this time, I chose it.